Indonesia is a country rich in natural resources because it has a lot of fertile land. Most of these natural resources are exported to international markets. One of the leading export products from Indonesia is palm oil, which is often used for biofuel. As we know, the results of the exports of palm oil are very helpful for the country's income. It has been proven that if non-oil and gas exports are not palm oil, then there will be an economic deficit in Indonesian exports. However, lately there has been a debate that was raised by the European Union about the sustainability of palm oil, which is considered as not environmentally friendly. Is the debate only for the sake of simply environmental issues or leads to trade war? Let's check this out.
Indonesia is the biggest palm oil producing country. The latest data shows that around 36 million tons of palm oil have been exported by Indonesia each year, according to data from the Ministry of Commerce in 2018. 5 years ago, Riau produced rubber. However, because of falling rubber prices, Riau residents began looking for another alternatives and found that palm oil production was more profitable because of its high demand, low prices, and easy marketing. High demand makes many countries compete to plant oil palm, and one of them is Malaysia. Due to high demand, oil palm cultivation land in Malaysia is running low. This has opened up opportunities for Indonesia to get nicknamed as the largest exporter of palm oil due to Indonesia's vast land area. It has been proven that around 11.9 million lands in various regions in Indonesia have been planted with oil palm trees. The rapidly growing palm oil expansion actually produces side effects that can be seen in plain view. These side effects are evident from the large amount of land converted to oil palm plantation, and forests are no exception. The first to realize this was animal protection activists who saw many animals lose their homes as more land was converted into oil palm plantations. The depletion of animal habitat caused animals to fall into rare status, for example the Sumatran tiger, Borneo elephant, and orangutan. Massive deforestation is the beginning of the main environmental problems of planting palm oil. Countries that are included in the European Union are mostly countries with high-income economies, so the people tend to pay more attention to environmental issues. In contrast to developing countries, their main focus is economic growth, for example, Indonesia. The European Union issued a RED or Renewable Energy Directive policy, which initially had the aim of replacing fossil energy with renewable energy, one which was biodiesel. But this changed in 2009, where there was a revision of RED by the European Union to REDs 2, which explained that biodiesel product must be made from environmentally friendly and sustainable materials. RED2 was then compounded by the inclusion of oil palm in the unsustainable material category, so that it could not be used as a raw material for biofuels. The use of palm oil will be reduced starting in 2024 and will cease totally in 2030. The European Union is not the main destination for palm oil export, but India is the main destination for Indonesia's palm oil export. Even so, the existence of policy to limit palm oil export by the European Union, which is one of the contributors to Indonesia's export, could result in a reduction in the surplus. Not only that, the impact of the policy has an impact on around 27 million oil palm farmers whose livelihood depends on palm oil production. In this data, it can be seen that the European Union is a major exporter of rapeseed oil. This has caused a lot of speculation about the RED2 policy under the guise of environmental reasons, even though it is no more than a trade war and competition, because if there are restrictions on palm oil exports, the demand for rapeseed will automatically increase, With this in mind, Indonesia declared discrimination of palm oil from other vegetable oils. This is because the European Union only closes access to palm oil exports. Indonesia considers that implementing the RED2 policy has a very negative impact on the sustainability of Indonesia's export. Finally, Indonesia took further steps to save its export trade items by filing a lawsuit against the European Union throughout the WTO. Indonesia considers that the policy to stop the palm oil export is not in line with the principle of fair trade. Palm oil discrimination has also become a stumbling block in terms of economies of Europe and Indonesia, even Asian. Indonesia's lawsuit against the European Union shows Indonesia's seriousness in dealing with ongoing injustice and discriminatory attitudes. Not only that, Indonesia took action that could be seen as retaliation. President Joko Widodo issued a statement regarding the termination of the export of nickel ore, which was realized as of January 1st, 2020. In response to this, the European Union then filed a lawsuit against Indonesia through the WTO. The European Union considers that this Indonesian decision is very unfair and will have an impact on the EU steel industry economy due to the lack of access to nickel ore and several other mineral ores. However, Indonesia did not dispute the lawsuit filed by the European Union. This is because so far Indonesia has not received a major economic increase because it only exports raw mineral ore.
Situation between Indonesia and EU after this. Indonesia and EU has a very good relationship. Palm oil will continue maybe to be one factor, but Indonesia's relationship with EU is far more bigger than the palm oil issue. Even though some people wanted to put this at the center of the relationship between the two entities, I don't think it will work. Indonesia has much to lose if we continue to push EU with this single issue. But I think it is also a good thing to proceed with this as long as we make it evidence-based to show that the relationship is not unequal. So I think we are fine. Compared to China-US relationship, it's still much better. So we are, compared to the global trends, I'm still having a cordial relationship with EU, despite the nationalist rhetorics, the trade war rhetorics. I think in general the relationship is okay.
It's a good question. I don't know the specific details of this move by Indonesia, but it's interesting because, as far as I know, it's a change in Indonesia's approach. So before, or it might represent the time that Indonesia finally stands up and says, all right, if you're going to try to hurt the kelapa sawit, the palm oil industry, we can retaliate. But the longer term question is, will one retaliation lead to more measures to try to hurt one another's economies, and it will ultimately benefit Indonesia to take that stronger stand? Then we need to understand, the wider trade relationship and who can really punish who. But what's interesting is I think in the past, maybe under SBA, that kind of retaliation didn't happen so much. So there might be something different about the current presidency and his advisors that suggest there's enough confidence to say to Europe, that's enough. We can retaliate with, very targeted, restrictions on importing from Europe. So this is definitely an interesting time. Yeah.
The problem of palm oil between European Union and Indonesia can be viewed from the perspective of liberalism. In the study of international relations, liberalism is a theory used to understand the reality of interaction between countries. Indonesia has invested very highly in palm oil plantations, and when the demand for palm oil has decreased, it certainly has an outrage effect from Indonesia that was socialized with lawsuits through the World Trade Organization. In viewing this case, it is necessary to think in terms of commercial liberalism, which promotes free trade to increase economic interdependence between countries that can lead to world economic peace. Free trade between countries can help the developing countries to freely and properly compete in international markets based on fair economy policy. However, as we know, Indonesia and the European Union has not yet reached an agreement to implement the free trade agreement. Moreover, the cessation of palm oil export by the European Union minimized Indonesia's opportunity to fully compete in the international arena. One effort that needs to be launched by Indonesia to deal with this problem should not only focus on economic diplomacy. The diplomatic path run by Indonesia ended with a lawsuit that could worsen the relation between the two countries. In the context of Indonesia and the European Union, there are differences in the state's interests that can be seen from Indonesia and its national interests to maintain the improvement of the country's economy, and the European Union with its special interest in reducing environmental problems in the world. It should be underlined that the existence of common interests can help international cooperation and diplomacy runs easier. Indonesia needs to justify that the negative effects of palm oil production are clearly proven. Indonesia needs to follow RSOP certification standards by meeting the requirements to not clear the forest, trigger forest fire, and improve the welfare of palm oil farmers. Indonesia must acknowledge its past wrongdoings and provide a persuasive argument to the European Union to prove that Indonesia can improve its production system. We should not damage the environment just for the sake of commercial economy and not focus on expansion but intensification.
If improvement in terms of production has been addressed, it is hoped that the free trade agreements process will be established in accordance with the views of commercial liberalism to open markets competition and increase economic interdependence in international sphere. In addition, free trade according to the laissez-faire principle can avoid conflict because it doesn't involve a government interference. Indeed, in the liberalism, it is emphasized that the economy should not be intervened by political interference.